Good morning. Morning, Barbara. Morning, Susan. Yeah. How about this weather? Um, it was nice yesterday. I I don't know how it's going to be today. Um, I feel like we're probably not done with all the humidity and stuff, but hey, it feels good for today and yesterday. We'll see. It's still pretty humid. My front door has the threshold, the finish has kind of come off, so it swells up when it gets damp. So I can almost tell it's going to be humid because my door starts sticking when I try to pull it open. Good morning, Dora. Um, so there you go. Um, well, I hope you guys had a good weekend. I'm trying to think what I did. Nothing much, just regular things. But I have the windows open in here today, so we may hear birds. I can hear crickets, I guess, right now. We may hear my neighbor yelling. I I told Dave I never noticed how busy my neighbor is. Uh, he's a retired guy next door, and I never really saw him that much. But until I started doing this in the morning, I realized that I wasn't usually around. I guess when he was busy during the mornings, because he's out there all the time working away. So um, it's funny how a change, right? A little change in your routine, and you see a whole different um, world, really. I know when we first moved here and my kids were really young, um, my experience of this place was so different from my husband's um, because I was out during the day and walking the kids around and going to the market and going to the library and going different places. So I saw everything from that perspective. Right? So I knew some of the people in town, and I would see them regularly. Whereas my husband, he was working and he would be home on the weekends and usually busy doing something. Um, and then not too much, during the week. He'd just be coming to and from work. So his experience of living here was very different. Now that he's has more free time and not as busy with the kids, and then now especially that he's been um, working from home, he really appreciates being here. So it's funny when um, he used to always talk about like moving, that we should move when we retire, find a new place, and I think we do, because this house is much bigger than what we need. But um, he always talked about moving somewhere else, and now he's like, I don't know, maybe we'll just stay. So um, I think that's an interesting thing to think about, is how I mean, we speak about this a lot in yoga, how our perception changes how we see reality. Um, and if that's what happens, then it functionally it is your reality, right? So our experience of reality is our reality, um, and it's as real to us as anyone else's. It may not be um, the actual reality, but that's hard, right? It's hard to get right down to the actual reality of everything, because even people that are extremely enlightened and advanced still have their biases and things. So essentially our perception is our reality, and to people living in exactly the same place can have two different uh, perceptions of that reality, either because of um, their environment, right, and the way they live, or um, their experience, right? These layers. We talked about this on Saturday. I think that this idea of samskara, these um, ridges and um, ruts that are sort of carved into our consciousness that we carry with us. Um, so, as they say, wherever you go, there you are. So, a lot of people think they can change something from the outside. Um, they can move, or they can change their friends, or get divorced, or change a job. Um, and that's going to fix their life, right? That's going to be the thing that does everything. And it may improve things for you in some way. But odds are you're going to end up right where you were before. Because those things, while it might be good to move or get a job in a different place, if you think that's going to solve your problems, you are incorrect. If you have problems in your life, if you have issues with um, your emotions or your mental state or um, whatever, just moving to a new place and a new surroundings, right? It doesn't really work like that. You bring all of that stuff with you. So that's, the bad news, right? It's not as easy as picking up and moving. But the good news is you don't have to pick up and move, right? So there's no reason we can't fix what's going on with us right here, right now. We don't need a lot of money or opportunities or anything. We can take this opportunity for ourselves and just make that change. So, what you think is so difficult, and sometimes we find this out, right? That this job that we think is killing us, or this place where we live that we don't really like, or whatever, it's really just internally, right? We are struggling. And we're going to struggle wherever we go. So if we can work on that, getting that internal space in order, then the external looks pretty good. Um, so finding so that's the first part, right? Knowing that is the first part. The second part, of course, is putting it into play, into action, and that's hard, right? Um, but it's also simple, right? So understanding where we are, um, and taking the steps to move on. Um, One of the things I really love about yoga is that it doesn't ask you to do, you know, if you want to pursue why you got to where you are, um, you you could, and it might help, but you don't need to, right? If you have issues and situations that are difficult, um, we can move on from there. We can just start making different choices in our life and keep going. Um, Letting go, right, of the past is oftentimes um, the hardest thing to do. Even people who know they've got issues know that, maybe they've had a lot of trauma in their life. Maybe their home life was difficult. They grew up in very difficult circumstances. Maybe they've had bad relationships. Um, Maybe they even, have illness or different problems. Many times um, our impulse is to cling to those things. And we may be in therapy for years trying to talk about them, trying to understand them, trying to kind of make sense of those things in our life, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Knowing and understanding how things affect you is helpful. But we can also become dependent on those things, dependent on being this person that we see ourselves as, right? a, a victim, right, of these traumas, of these difficulties. We want to look beyond that, move beyond that. So, yeah, these things happen to me, but they are not who I are, who I am, who I are. Yeah, they are not that either. We know who we are. We are this eternal, beautiful, perfect self, right? That is who we really are. Everything else is just a suit that we put on, right? Our body, our mind, our emotions, our experiences, right? These are all things that happen. They are not who we are. So we want to be less attached to the things that happen. Know that good things will happen, bad things will happen. We are going to get our full share of both. Um, Sometimes it makes sense, right? We understand this idea sometimes of karma, right? Cause and reaction. We're doing these things, and hey, then this bad thing happens. Okay, well, I get that. Sometimes we're doing everything right, and the bad thing happens. Right? Sometimes we're caught up in other people's karma. Um, it's a complicated system, and it doesn't um, it doesn't always make sense to us. At least today. Maybe someday it will. Um, so again, this idea that we have to understand everything and be able to I would say, um, if we, it's another sort of idea that we have that we can sort of intellectually solve our problems. Um, we really can't. I mean, we can understand to some extent, but we're never going to get to where we want to go by just thinking about it. Action is necessary. And I was just taking a class about the Bhagavad Gita, which is this holy book of Hinduism, um, with this just very eternal knowledge. It's a wonderful book, and people from all cultures have read it. It's one of the, what are they, the big books, like the Roman philosophers and the Greek philosophers. And so the Bhagavad Gita is like up there in that idea of sort of universal truths. And the whole story of it is about a guy who knows what he has to do, but he doesn't want to do it. He really just wants to talk about it. Um, and the idea that, you can talk and talk and talk, but you're never going to talk your way out of a situation, right? You have got to make those changes. You've got to step out in faith and just do it. Um, so that is maybe the hardest thing to do, but it's also the simplest thing to do. So, as we move through practice, try to think less about the practice and instead just move. Feel the movement in the body. Um, Notice the sensations that arise. notice how the movement generates maybe feelings in the body, maybe thoughts. Notice them, let them go. And we will just keep going. This mat is a nuisance to me. All right, so we're sitting up tall, breathing in and out. Chin down toward the chest. And then lift. Keep lifting the chin, head drops back. Back to your center. Take a breath in, lowering the head. Going to the right and then going to the left, or whichever one you choose to start. Just do the opposite. Moving back up. Walk the hands out. Back up. Fingertips point away from the body. Squeeze the shoulders back. Gaze up. And then back to your seat. Arms wide. Deep breath in. Exhale. Hands together. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Interlace the fingers, lift the hands, gazing up, and then arms down by your side. Inhale, lift, and lower, lift. Right hand down by your side, reach across. Switch arms. And then back up. Left hand on right knee, right arm behind. Sitting up tall, then taking a twist. Back to center. Switch sides. And back to center. We're going to do like a seated cat-cow here. So hands on the knees. For your inhale, right, we're going to kind of lean forward, pull the shoulders back, gazing up, and then reverse that, kind of drawing the belly in, bringing the head forward. And you can just move slowly with the breath. Inhales and exhales. So this is a great thing to do if you're sitting in a chair and you feel your back is just kind of tight. needs a little movement, but you don't feel like crawling down on the floor. Um, and that also, that twist that we do here, bringing the arm across here, this is a great one to do in a chair. So when we do these twists, what we're trying to do is isolate um, the hips and the waist, right? So when we have um, kind of your hips and your rear end stable here, you're not really turning from here. You're turning up here, and chairs are great for this because you've got a lot of stability. You can hold on to the arms. You could, if you're at a desk or something, you could grab a hold of your desk, and kind of pull. Um, that is that's a great thing. If things are feeling kind of tight up in here. Um, so any of the poses, the seated poses that you can do with just sitting in a chair is great. There's no limit really to how much you could do that, even if you feel like you need it. And some days, we definitely need it more than others. Tabletop, and then child's pose. And let's come into rabbit pose here. So got knees close together, arms by your side, reaching back for the heels or the ankles, grabbing on to something if possible. And then tuck the chin, crown of the head, rest lightly on the mat, and lifting the hips. Come on back down. Bring the knees a little wider. Rest one fist on top of the other. Breathe. Come on back up. Let's swing this right leg around so that we're got the right leg out and we're resting on this left knee. Arms overhead. Interlace the fingers. We will lean back a little. And then hands to center. Breath in. Take a twist. back to center. Right hand down by the foot. Left arm lifts. And then let's switch. So left hand is down more toward the edge of the mat. Right arm lifts. And then both hands to the mat. We're kind of leaning in here. So you can stay here, or if you want to walk the foot across for pigeon, you can. Remember, bringing that foot closer into the body makes this less intense, a little easier to hold. Wherever you are with here, you might stay up here. You could come down and breathe. And if this is all like way too intense for you today, just going back to child's pose. Right? Child's pose, I think, is very underrated as a pose. It's actually a very good pose. It's very contrary to what we're normally doing, and we're working, stretching through the hips. You can stretch through the arms with it if you've got the arms extended. So it's kind of a nice pose. It isn't just a resting pose. You're doing some good. So if you feel like you like child's pose and you want to hang out there some, don't feel like you're letting yourself down. It's a good solid pose. And then we're going to plant the hands here. We're coming back up. Put the toe in the back. Lift yourself up. Three-legged dog. And set the foot back down. In your downward dog for a few breaths. And then let's come on down. Child's pose. Back to tabletop, swing left leg around. Arms overhead, interlace the fingers, and leaning back a little. Hands to center, take a breath, and then moving to the left. Back to center. Left hand down by the foot. Right arm lifts. Then right hand down. Lift the left. Both hands to the mat. Walking out a little bit. Into lizard. And then you can get into pigeon here. You could stay in lizard. You could come down to child's pose. Many options. And then moving back up. Plant the hands. Lifting up. Left leg. And then set your foot down. We'll be in downward dog for a few breaths. Step the feet up. And let's sit on the mat. Soles of the feet together. Breath in. Lean forward. Moving back up. Let's bring the legs wide. Sitting up tall. Take a breath. And then leaning forward. Toes pointing up toward the ceiling. Bring the hands on the legs. You could bring them out in front. Whatever is the right thing today. Breathe. Back up. Let's bring the feet a little closer. So, you may be about width of the mat. Right foot comes in by that left leg. And then we're going to turn slightly so that we're facing this left leg. Inhale, arms reach. Exhale, fold. Walk your hands back up. And let's switch. Same thing, turning slightly here. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Back up. Both legs out in front. Deep breath in. Exhale, fold. And moving back up. Bend the knees. Soles of the feet to the mat. Lowering down or rocking back. Just get comfortable here. Take a few breaths. Extend the left leg long. Hug that right knee in. And then we're lowering the knee out to the side. Bring the knee back to center. And then we're going to draw it across the body, rolling up on that left hip. Back to center. Hug it in again. And then release it down. Switch sides. Breathe. Lowering. Left knee out to the side. Breathe. Moving back to center. Bring that across. Rolling up on the right hip. And then back to center. And hug that in again. Almost forgot. And then extend both legs long. So we're going to do a little bit of guided meditation here before we move into Shavasana, but essentially, we're going to be in the same pose as Shavasana. So just get comfortable on the mat. Find that place where you can be kind of at peace. And just let the body sink down into the mat. So become aware of any sounds that you can hear. Nothing but what you can hear without strain. So just comfortable sounds. See if you can focus on the sounds that seem to be the most distant. Let your sense of hearing radiate outward, searching out these distant sounds, following them for a few moments. Move your attention from sound to sound without focusing on the source. And then gradually, we're bringing our attention to closer sounds. Sounds that might be just outside your home or within your home. And then maybe focusing on any sounds there might be in your room. Without opening your eyes, visualize the four walls of your room. The ceiling, the floor, your body lying on the floor. Visualize your body lying on the floor. The position of your body, your clothing, your hair, your face. Bringing all awareness to that existence of your physical body lying on the floor. becoming now aware of your natural breath. Notice the natural and spontaneous breath that moves in and out of your body without any effort. This natural breath moves in through both nostrils, and notice the feeling of this breath as it comes in and out of your nostrils. Notice the sense of coolness as you inhale the breath. Follow this feeling into your nose, through the sinuses, the back of the throat, and down into your lungs. There is a sense of warmth as you exhale the breath. Feel this warmth on your upper lip as you breathe in and out. The natural breath flows through both nostrils during the inhale and the exhale. Allow your breath to become longer and slower. Take a long, slow inhalation, followed by a longer, slower exhalation. Make your exhale even slower, and notice the slight pause after the exhale. Slow inhale, even slower exhale, and then there is a pause. Feel that urge to breathe in bubble up inside you. And when you need to inhale, please do so. So we're not really holding the breath, we're just taking a short pause. There is kind of a natural pause there, just a momentary pause, but we can extend that maybe just a touch. Slow inhale, longer, slower exhale, and then a pause where the body is neither breathing in or out. And that pause might just be a moment. You don't want to feel uncomfortable or with any strain in the body. Just whatever feels natural for you. And continue with this breath for a little bit. Slow inhale, longer, slower exhale, and then that pause. Now just going back to the natural breath, in and out, just letting that be automatic, not trying to control that breath in any way. Now turn that attention to your physical body. The body is relaxed, lying on the floor. Feel the container of your skin and clothes and everything that is touching your body. Notice that heaviness in the body as it rests on the floor. And take awareness to all the points that are touching the floor. The back of your heels, thighs, buttocks, shoulder blades, arms, hands, and head. Do not open the eyes, but visualize the surrounding room. Imagine where you are in the room and the other objects that are around you. lie here peacefully until you feel ready to begin moving. Slowly begin to move hands and feet. Take your time, there's no hurry with this. And when you feel that you are fully aware, gently open your eyes and maybe roll over onto the right side. Stay here for a few more breaths. And then slowly make your way up to a seat. And we'll bring hands together. Another deep breath in and out. Thank you for taking time today for some yoga, for joining me on your mat. And I hope you have a really fabulous Monday. Namaste. Thank you. Uh, thank you all. How did you like the the relaxing um, wood chipping going on outside my window? That was pretty great. Well, I guess it's just kind of more background noise, right? Hopefully, you had a peaceful yoga nidra experience regardless of the outside noise, right? So we talk about this. This is what we talk about. If we can't learn to focus regardless of all the craziness, we're not getting too far. So um, it's good practice. Oh, oh, your dishwasher, Rachel. Yeah, dishwashers are crazy loud sometimes. Um, yeah, it's always something, right? So we got to find that peace inside. So we're working away at it. Okay, I'm gonna let you guys go. It's 10 o'clock. I hope you have a good Monday. Enjoy the weather. I might do some yard work. I was trying to figure out why I was so sore today, and then I remembered that I was weed whacking. We have this like trimmer that is. I have a lightweight one that I really like, but I don't know. The battery was dead, so I was using the other one. Oh my gosh, it's so heavy. I don't know what I was doing. So yeah, that's why I'm so sore today. There you go. All right. Have a good day. See you Tuesday.